Hey, I made ginormous orange earrings from polymer clay, and I thought I'd show you how I did it. So I started with some white slash translucent polymer clay, and I rolled it out with a marker because I didn't have anything else. You want to keep your polymer clay pretty thin when you're rolling it out, because if your earring gets too heavy, you're not going to want to wear them. I created a half circle template, and that's what I'm using here. For the orange slices, you could do your half circle template for your orange slices or lime or lemon, any size you want to. The benefit to doing the kind of translucent white clay is because when you wear the earrings, light shines through it and it kind of, I don't know, looks like the earrings are glowing a bit. Once you've got your two pieces cut out for your two earrings, then you can start to work on the different sections for your orange or lemon or lime. So I just did that with some orange polymer clay, and I'm rolling it out to a really thin thickness. Like I said, the thinner the clay, the lighter the earring, because polymer clay is not that light. So roll it out nice and thin, and then you're going to want to squish it flat, and that's what you're going to use to create your different sections. But first, let's make the rind of the orange. So I'm just using that light color, creating an arched line, and I use a skewer stick to try to trim off the clay. And I left a little bit of white space because I will be going back in with a slightly darker color orange for the actual peel. Is it a rind or is it a peel? Watermelons have a rind? I don't know. Whatevs. Now I'm working on the sections. And like I said, I use the skewer stick to trim it. I also trim a little bit at the top. And then once that's trimmed, I peel off that little extra piece. And I like to use the pointed part of my skewer stick to smooth it out a little bit so you can't see those hard edges. If you're not familiar with polymer clay, it's the kind of clay that you bake in the oven. And whenever I do it, I always use my toaster oven because it heats up a lot faster. It doesn't use as much energy to like heating up your oven does. But when I use my toaster oven, I make sure not to put it at the temperature that's recommended because the toaster oven is smaller, heats up faster, and I've noticed that, well, we'll just put it this way, I've burnt my share of polymer clay in the toaster oven. So if you use something like a toaster oven, I usually set it to 200 and I keep a really close eye and smell out for it because when you bake polymer clay, it does have a little bit of an odor. So my earrings, when I baked them, I only kept them in there for maybe 5 to 7 minutes, kept a close watch, took them out. They are a little tiny bit squishy when you take them out, but then if you let them cool down, they start to get a little bit harder. Now that my sections of my orange are finished, I can start to add the seeds. Oh no, wait, I'm not going to do the seeds next. I'm doing the peel. I almost called it the rind, the orange peel. So like I said, I'm using a slightly darker orange clay. I didn't have a darker orange clay, so to make it, I just took a little bit of red polymer clay and I squished it into the orange clay, mixing by squishing it between my fingers, and thusly I ended up with a darker piece of orange for the peel. Now I'm just going to add the peel right above that initial arch that I made, and now I can work on those seeds. For the seeds, I'm going to take a light yellow polymer clay, and I am rolling the teensy weensiest, smallest little pieces of clay you ever did see. It's a real big pain in the keister because they like to stick to my fingers, which kind of helps when you're putting them on the sections of the orange, but also they just like to roll everywhere and disappear until you later find them on the bottom of your shoe. So this is it. This is like a pretty easy little earring DIY, right? You can handle this scandal. From here, I really wanted to add a little bit more, like a little cartoony pop of color to the peel. So that's when I used a little bit of the bright white polymer clay for the highlight. So when you get your polymer clay, I like to order or buy the big packet with a variety of colors. Take a close look at the white because some of the white clay has a little bit translucent-y look, and that's going to come out totally, not totally, but kind of translucent when you bake it in the oven like my earrings do. You'll notice when you see the finished ones how different the color looks from right now where you see me work on it. So from here I just rolled out a really thin coil of the white, not the translucent, but the really bright white clay for the highlight. I totally could have used a white paint marker, but I've done that before and noticed that sometimes the paint starts to chip or fade. So doing it with the clay seemed like a better idea this time. Okay, both of my orange slices are done. Now, please make sure you put a small hole in whatever you're planning on making into jewelry before baking it in the oven. And I say this having many a times made earrings without putting a hole in them and then taking them out of the toaster oven and realizing I can't do anything with them. So just a little FYI there. It does help to have jewelry tools, and these little rings that I'm using, they're called jump rings, and they come apart really easy with jewelry tools. Just be careful when you're using them because you don't want to accidentally break your clay. So here I am trying to be careful. I really have giant man hands, and so it's difficult for me to use these little tools and do little things. This part is not my favorite, but you do what you got to do to make your amazing earrings. You'll want to use 2 of those jump rings before adding your French hook, and ta-da, your earring is complete. Which can only mean one thing: you too can now look this amazing, this tooty, and yet so fruity. Yeah, you're welcome. Anyway, have fun, guys.